that time again, people, and as you can see, I am fully prepared for it. I am in laid back mode right now. This is the Nature Girl 30, and this is my mini Q&A number 29, and it's hard to believe I've actually nearly done 30 of these. Hard to believe. Thank you guys for sending me so many questions, and let's get started with my first set of questions that actually comes from Mr. Sheldon Richardson via Twitter. Well, actually, it says Twitter caster, but either or, via Twitter. Thank you guys. Thank you, Sheldon, for sending me this question via Twitter. Let's get started. Okay, rate these matches. Aries versus Punk, Storm versus Orton, Team 3D versus Team Hell No, Rose versus Rude, Suicide versus Cara, and Kenny King versus Kingston. Ooh, now these 5 matches. Okay, I'll go from 5 to 1. For number 5, it will be Storm versus Orton. Pretty much because why on earth would you gotta watch James Storm kicking the crap out of Randy Orton? That's pretty much gonna happen. James Storm is pretty much he's the TNA version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. So we know that Randy Orton doesn't really have a chance. So why watch that? Number 4 will be Team 3D versus Team Hell No. Because Team 3D will kick the crap out of Team Hell No. Sorry, let's be real. That's what's going to happen. Unless Kane unleashes the beast, that's the only way they'll win. Okay, and the next set is going to go from number 3 is Rude versus Rhodes. Even though it would be really interesting to see because they're kind of at the same level and they're kind of really well at what they do, I really do feel that that's going to be number 3 for me because, well, I mean, it's going to be a really good match. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a good match, but I put that at number 3. Aries versus Punk. And the main reason why is because they're Aries, like Austin Aries and CM Punk, you can't really book them, or not book them, but you can't really categorize them as one type of wrestler. You can't categorize them as a brawler or a high flyer. They're a jack of all trades. They can actually do multiple styles of fighting. So I mean, they have multiple fighting styles. They can either be a brawler, they can be a high flyer. They can pretty much do multiple types of skills. They have multiple skills. So honestly, it will be really interesting to see those two go at it because I know that CM Punk is capable of doing a lot more than what he's doing, as well as Austin Aries. So I'm putting that at number 2, and of course number 1, or is that number 3? Yeah, okay. Number 2 is gonna be Kenny King versus Kingston. So honestly, I put that there because, well, even though that's a good match, Kenny King is he's not as limber and he's not as quick as Kofi Kingston. So Kofi Kingston probably has speed on his side, he has strength on his side, while Kenny King has more strength on his side. I don't really consider him to be much of a fighter in the X division. I don't really see him to be that big of a high flyer in my opinion. But Kofi Kingston has speed and he's a high flyer. So honestly, that's going to be a match that Kofi's going to dominate in my opinion. But of course, that leads to the final match, Suicide versus Sin Cara, because they are both high flyers. Not to mention they are both luchadors. So I love lucha. I love lucha libre. So I would love to see a really classic lucha libre match that's going to be on a pay-per-view. I would love to see a classic lucha libre match. I love lucha libre. So I'm putting them as number 1. Great question, man. Really great question. It took me 3 minutes to say it, but yeah, 3 really great question, man. Seriously. We're a SpiderMan Noir fan. Why'd you change your name, bro? Come on now. And on the real, I cannot pronounce how to say your name, so I'm gonna call you the YouTuber that used to be known. I guess what was it? The formerly known as SpiderMan Noir fan. That's what I'm gonna call you because I cannot pronounce your new name, so I'm gonna call you formerly known as SpiderMan Noir fan. And I'm gonna go into your set of questions next. What if Cena and Punk pulled out a knife and started stabbing each other during a match? No. That would be something that wouldn't be enjoyable, and besides, they would not be working there anymore. Everything will go black, and then they will kind of not acknowledge them or anything else. It would be uncomfortable for me. How would you react? What would you do if you caught John Cena and your homegirl Tama Girl making out? Number 1, I really would be shocked. Actually, no, I take that back. I wouldn't be shocked because I know that Shalithia will probably be the happiest girl in the world. And yes, that is Tama Girl 101, aka Shalithia. Um, she's a huge John Cena mark, and I would not be surprised if she would love to make out with John Cena. So that would be no shocker to me. What if you caught your boy Big D making out with another dude? How would you react? Would you still be his homegirl? I got no problem with Big D if he decides to swing in the opposite direction, but I do know that Big D is too much of a dude, and he loves women. He loves women, and I've seen the women he dates. They're like divas, and he loves something to slap. Okay, not to be crude or anything, but seriously, I can't. Ooh, I kind of messed that up there. Or Big D likes chicks. Okay, he likes chicks. Enough said. Let me see. What is the most painful injury you have ever endured your whole life? I really haven't had a lot of broken bones, but I will say that my shoulder injury was probably the worst. I literally overworked my arm. And usually when you work on a chainsaw, you have to do your arms like this all the time. And I did it too hard to where this part of my entire shoulder was terribly strained to where I couldn't even move my arm. It was very painful. It felt like I broke a bone, but it was actually my ligaments were all messed up, as well as the tendons and the muscles in my arms. Like all this was like really messed up. So that was the most painful I've ever had to go through. Painful injury, that is. What do you think about gay marriage and gay people in general? Do you not like them? Do you absolutely hate them, or do you not care? I have no problem with gay people at all. I really don't. And as for gay marriage, if they want to get married, that's up to them. Because these days, everybody doesn't even want to get married at all. We have people saying that they're miserable getting married. They'd rather get out of it. So if they actually do want to be married and they love each other and they want to make it work, why not? That's all I have to say about that. What if you turn on the news and saw on the news that Big D and Tama Girl were both arrested because they robbed a bank, shot and killed some innocent victims during a bank robbery? How would you react to the breaking news? And when they got arrested, they got thrown in jail and blamed you. And said it was all your idea. Let's just say that those are people I won't be talking to anymore. Period. But honestly, Big D and Tama Girl, they care about their images a lot. Not to mention that they're hustlers. And what I mean by a hustler is like they'll do whatever they can, not the better way. They'll go the better route. They'll go the honest route than taking money. They're taking food or money and clothing or whatever out of the mouths of other people. That's just not them. He has his own way. He goes to work every day. He does what he has to do to earn his cheese every single day. Same thing with Tama Girl. That's what I've known them. All my friends, they work hard for a living. So I can't really imagine them doing anything but that. But that's a great set of questions, man. AKA formerly known SpiderMan Noir fan. I can't say your name, but look at the bottom. It's Nico Bellic asked me this: what if Dan Parkin and NJ during one of their videos got into a real argument and started swinging at each other, not for real and not fake? How would you react watching it, or if you were there with them in person? Number one, if I was in person, it would be so awesome. Like literally be able to go to England to see and actually meet those guys. But honestly, I would be shocked for one reason alone. Knowing that Daniel can actually throw a punch. He's my homeboy and all, but for real, in every video that you have seen him in, he's always been the one to get decked. Either by NJ or by Terminator NJ. He has never been the one to throw a punch at anyone. Ever. And I will be shocked to ever know that he actually threw a punch at anyone, especially NJ. Plus, Daniel is 250 pounds and he's 6'1", while NJ's probably a buck and a dime, or maybe a buck and a quarter, and he's 5'9". There's no way I'd be breaking them up. Seriously, I would just let them go at it till they get tired. Unless somebody brings out a knife, then I would probably try to find a near stick and kick the knife away. But that's about it. But I will be shocked if Daniel throws a punch at anybody. Seriously. What if Cipher from Final Fantasy VIII debuted in WWE and won the IC title? Wow, that question sounds familiar. More like Final MS1? But either or, I'll really be shocked to actually see a fictional character be a part of any kind of WWE show and win the IC title, period. I would be really shocked. Unless there was a wrestler that actually wanted to be Cipher, and then that'll be another story. What if John Cena, what would John Cena look like with a mullet down to his feet? Really, really long. Oh, a singlet mullet. Ooh, he will look weird. And I wouldn't be surprised they changed his gimmick to become some kind of redneck with him coming out with moonshine and all that kind of stereotypes that the WWE's known for. But he will look really weird with a mullet. I prefer the whole buzz cut thing. Besides, he thinks of himself more as a Marine than anything else. What crossover fighting games would you like to play or buy? With any games, like you putting them together, like Final Fantasy versus Sonic. Okay, we all know that Final Fantasy VIII kind of came together. Not really so much Final Fantasy VIII, but Final Fantasy in general. We all know that they kind of came together with the whole Kingdom Hearts series with Disney and Final Fantasy coming together, which I think was a great combination. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to play any of those games, but I hear a lot of good things about them. But honestly, the only crossover game that I kind of want to play, and even though people say it's not a crossover, but I consider it to be one, is Injustice Gods Among Us. Because honestly, after looking online, it seems like it has a really great storyline. And not to mention, I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. And Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe sucked. So, anything like that, yeah. But as for anything Sonic related, no. Sonic should not be a part of any kind of crossover game, period. Because, I'm sorry, Sonic versus Mario. Mario cannot light a candle to Sonic at all. If anybody has watched Death Battle, that shows you right then and there that Mario, no, you can't keep up with Sonic. Sorry. So, honestly, it has to be probably like something with Mortal Kombat related, maybe. Like Injustice Gods Among Us. I have to probably try to play Kingdom Hearts. Maybe. I haven't really played it, but I'll probably try it out. And what if all your video games got messed up all in one day, in the same day, and not turning on anymore? What would you do? Tear. Like, seriously, I would be really, really sad if my Xbox 360 and my Genesis blew out at the same time. I would be so sad because I love playing those games. And I still play my Genesis now, so I'd really be sad if something happens. And my final question of this Q&A actually comes from Real Old Harold. Do you love your name a lot? Especially of all the pages you were spamming me with your name. But that's cool. As long as you keep it tame. But either or, Real Old Harold, King of the Jungle of Nigeria. His question, he actually has 6 questions for me. And your questions are, what video game systems do you wish you've owned? Honestly, I've owned a lot of video game systems, and there's not really one that I really wish I had. I will say that I kind of am curious about PS3, and the main reason is because of God of War and Uncharted 2. I would love to be able to play those games because those games look freaking awesome, and I would have loved to actually have a PS3. But now the PS4 is going to be coming out in several months, as well as the Xbox One. So far they're not going to be making games of that anymore. So I don't know. I'm actually thinking about getting a PS4 anyway. What if John Cena shaved his head bald and grew a Daniel Bryan beard and started wearing tights? Ooh, I would hate that look, man. But it would be a great part of the storyline. John Cena pulled a Britney and kind of lost his mind and shaved his head and just started growing his beard out like Daniel Bryan because he was tired of the way people were so, I don't know. I mean, either or, it would be something dramatic in the storyline, his mental breakdown. And I really think that would actually work for a storyline. But that's just me. What is the best game you have ever played in your whole entire gaming life? Ooh. I played a lot of games. I have to say Super Mario 3. Hands down. there was a lot of energy and time that I actually did put into that game. And that game is forever going to be probably one of the most awesome games ever. I love BioShock. I love River City Ransom. But honestly, hands down. And I am going to put a link to my top 10 favorite video games so far for those that are interested at the bottom of this. But either or, seriously, straight up. I love I absolutely love Super Mario Brothers 3. I love that game, straight up. What do you think? What do you think of the Spirit Squad in from the WWE in 2006 with Dolph Ziggler as Nikki? Nikki, that was hilarious, so hilariously funny. I never really thought of him as Nikki until he started pulling the whole Dolph Ziggler gimmick, and I was like, wait a minute, he looks familiar. And then somebody had to point out to me, you know that's Nikki, right? And I'm like, what? It's awesome. He came full circle from him being Nikki. He's less corny. He doesn't come down like this anymore. He's absolutely less corny. So I have to say, bravo to him. And Nikki was hilarious. And seeing how the Spirit Squad was the most dominant faction around that time, they were doing something right. Seriously. Do you find Taylor Swift attractive? Yeah, she's cute in a very young way, but she's young. She's really young in heart and young in the mind. And yes, she's mature in some aspects of her life. When it comes to her work ethic, she's very mature. But you're starting to notice that more of her 23-year-old side is starting to come out. But, she's pretty cute for her age. I'm not going to deny that. What if Dan Parkin on a live stream on YouTube, pulled out a gun? No. I'm not answering that. That's just too morbid for me. And no, Daniel Parkin would not ever do that. Seriously. And that is it for this Q&A. Thank you guys so much for sending me questions. If you have any other questions to send me, please send it to my YouTube inbox or via Twitter at RKH30, hashtag NatureGirl Q&A. It's NatureGirl30 signing off. Peace out. Bye.